Hey guys, welcome back to my shop. My name is Chris. Thank you for joining me today. I'm gonna give you a glimpse inside my thought process on when a success actually is a failure. Meaning, I made a tool holder for this and I loved it. After using it a few times, I hated it. So, yes, it was functional, but I absolutely hated how it worked. And we're gonna fix that. Plus, we're gonna make a tool holder for this jigsaw. Not my favorite tool, but the holder for that may be the favorite one I've done to date. So join me and let's get right into this build. Let me explain why this is not a good design. One, I mean, it looks like it, but it's not. One, I have to actually do a few things, lift, and then it might even come off the wall to get it out. That's not good. Secondly, when you use this saw, typically, it's in the position where the blade is coming down from the actual table or the whatever you call this, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, so then to put it back, you have to, let me extend that back out, close it, and then I'm gonna put it back and it's gonna fit. Not really, because I have to lift the guard up. Too many steps. A tool holder should be, let me grab it and be done. And then when I'm done with it, let me just put it back and I'm done. That's the way it should be. Not like this. This is a mistake. And I did a whole video on this thing. Anyway, I'll link it down below if you want to see it. So we're going to make a jigsaw tool holder that is, well, I've already made it, but it's my favorite one to date. And it turned out nice. So let's go. Ready? So the project begins where most projects do, here at the table saw with the crosscut sled ready to go. I'm gonna cut this piece down of Baltic birch that's 3/4 of an inch in thickness down to some various sizes. I've also got a piece here of 1/2 inch, or actually I believe this is 3/8 of an inch. And we're gonna cut these down based upon the measurements I got from my tool. Now, every tool is different. Every manufacturer makes things a little bit differently, so I'm not gonna have plans available. However, I do suggest you just using your tool and following your nose to make whatever fits you best. So back here at the workbench, we're gonna take these two pieces, we're gonna join them together with some regular glue and some CA glue together. This combination is pretty nice. It doesn't require any type of mechanical fasteners. However, use a little activator on the edges with the CA glue and you've got yourself a really tight bond that's going to, well, act as clamps until that wood glue dries. Back to the table saw, we're gonna cut down some small strips that are gonna go on the faces of these pieces that we just made. I guess these are large rabbets. Now, to join these in place, I'm just gonna use some CA glue and activator. No need for the wood glue because I want these to be actually reinforced with some screws. Reason being, these small little pieces here, although they are little, they're gonna hold most of the load that the tool is gonna impart on this tool holder. So to do this, we're gonna go ahead and pre-drill 2 holes on either side of both of these pieces. And then I'm gonna countersink them as well. Just taking all those precautionary measures just to make sure the wood is taken care of. We don't want any fraying, we don't want any splitting, especially when drilling into the edge of a piece of plywood that's that thin. I'm then gonna use these kind of low profile countersunk screws. And that's all we're gonna do. That's all the mechanical fastening we're gonna need for those pieces right there. Again, I like to reinforce that with screws because, like I said before, it's gonna take most of the load. So I wanna introduce you to this new system from Rockler. Now, bench cookies are nothing new, but this way of doing it, called the Bench Cookie Connect, is pretty darn cool. They have the same surface area as your standard bench cookie. However, they're in the shape of quarter pies. Check that out. And they all join together to form a large surface, and then they could separate out to form those smaller bench cookies that you're accustomed to, or at least the size you are. And that's pretty darn cool. So they're linked below as well. All right, moving forward, we're gonna take the same trick with the CA glue and the regular glue, and we're gonna attach these pieces that we've made to a small little piece that I've cut on the table saw off camera. You're gonna see here, it's gonna kind of make a U shape, and we are gonna reinforce this again, but again, I really like this CA glue, wood glue technique. Definitely a pretty cool way to do things, but actually, truth be told, I'm gonna go ahead and reinforce that with something. So we're gonna go ahead and shoot some brad nails in there at a little bit of an angle on each one, just to give it that little more strength that you want, and there you go. That's kind of where we're going. At this point, I'm gonna take the backer board and then I'm gonna cut down some French cleat material to, you know, hang it on the wall. That's the idea. Now, you don't have to do French cleats. I can't believe I'm saying that, but they are pretty ubiquitous around the woodworking scene, and they're hugely popular in my shop. So I've got a ton of videos on them, and you can check my channel. I've got a whole bunch there. If you, I definitely encourage you to go check those out. So also, we're gonna hand sand some of these pieces just to keep all the splinters away. You never know who's gonna be holding this stuff. Plus, makes things nice as well. And this is gonna be something I'm going to do over and over again in my shop. I'm not gonna use any glue on that bottom support piece. I used to, but now I don't, because just in case I need to take it off for some reason, all I have is a couple brad nails in there and I'm good to go. With the backer board ready to go with the cleat installed in the back, it's now time to turn our attention to installing the tool holder in place. And again, I'm just using CA glue and wood glue again, placing everything down, using a little bit of activator on the sides. That activates the CA glue, holds it in place, and then for a little extra security, again, I'm gonna turn it over and add a few screws as well. So with everything ready to go, it's now time to install a little bit of paste wax into the channels that we made on either side of this tool holder. Now, the reason being is I don't want any friction. Well, there's gonna be some, of course, but I wanna limit the friction that is used when putting the tool holder in place. That way you can lift it out with ease. And you're gonna see, maybe I didn't quite add enough paste wax, because this is real life, ladies and gentlemen. The first time I'm testing it out, looks like it's working pretty well. I like to do things on camera the first time just in case something like this happens. Believe that? Well, I realized at that point I need to make a locking mechanism for it. So I've trimmed down this little piece of Baltic birch and I'm gonna install this on the side. This is gonna be kind of like a lever arm that's gonna be really installed with, I guess, just a screw, and it's gonna be able to swing back and forth, allowing the cleat to stay in place when you're lifting the saw out. You get it? I made a mistake. Luckily, no damage incurred, but hey, it happened. And here we go, round two. Gonna go ahead and tighten this bad boy up, and it looks like it works pretty well. Now, I do want to point out, there's two stopping mechanisms on this. Not only is the bottom created to stop it, however, if the bottom wasn't there, it would have stopped on that little piece of aluminum that sticks out as well. Now, it's sticking out from the wall a lot because you can actually have the blade engaged and not have to worry about the blade ever touching the wall. Check that out. Pretty cool design, in my opinion. Let me know what you guys think down below. But now, it's time to remake that circular saw holder too. Okay, so we're gonna remake this holder with a bunch of scraps. I would have used a whole piece of Baltic birch and then just kind of cut this thing out, maybe with a couple Forstner bits and then in between it with a jigsaw. But I figured, why not try to join two pieces together with pocket holes and then cut that little recess out with the bandsaw. As it turns out, this is a pretty good idea, but I'm gonna leave a mistake in here, a pretty big one, and it involves one of those pocket holes. And oh, that's pretty funny. Looks like a whale shark to me. Anyway, we're gonna route this out. Again, using those bench cookie connects from Rockwell, they're pretty darn cool. This is just gonna give me a little bit more room inside that canal or inside that channel to have the circular saw sit. So, talking about mistakes, you ready for this? After I clean up here, I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about. But first off, you know, I like to kind of sweep everything up into a trash can that has, what in the world is that? Oh my goodness. More on that later. All right, here it goes, guys. Ready? Whoa, did you see that? I ran that pocket hole screw right into the saw blade. Now, this saw stop has a new cartridge in it. It works, as you know. Well, I showed you a video about that. I ran into some graphite on a pencil and it triggered the stop. This screw was stainless steel and it didn't trigger it. I guess it's not, you know, part of the material list that will trigger this thing, but it scared me quite a bit. I fixed the problem off camera. I put in another small panhead pocket hole screw kind of thing in there, and I was just kind of embarrassed, but I figured, you know what? Let's leave that in this video. And I'm glad I did. So I wanted to share that with you guys. If you have one of these saws, guess what? Stainless steel is not gonna do too much except maybe dulling your blade a little bit. Anyway, back to the project. All right, hold that thought for a second. Stainless steel will trigger this break. However, it has to be close to a conductive material. Example, your finger or a hot dog. You get it, right? So don't take what I said earlier about stainless steel won't trip this, because it will. It just has to be close to your body. Anyway, and my hands were pretty free and clear from that, and that's why it didn't trip. I ended up asking my local woodcraft manager about this, and we had a conversation about it, and I learned a lot from that as well. All right, so here we go. Building it up. We're gonna go ahead and, well, as you saw me, I trimmed it up for a little bit, and I'm just kind of making a frame around it with a protruding edge to keep the circular saw table or the circular saw base in place. I'm gonna go ahead and take some marks here, and I'm gonna, you know what? My crosscut sled really serves me a lot of use. However, I'm gonna use this new angle miter gauge from Rockler here, and it's not gonna totally replace my crosscut sled, but I don't have a miter saw station, and having this thing here allowing me to adjust these fences and then get exactly a 45 as I need them pretty quickly is pretty invaluable. So I'm gonna link this down below as well. This is a quick and easy little thing to install, and it's coming handy on this project, and I can see it coming in handy on a lot more projects as well. So check the link below, check out this little thing. As you can see, it made quick work of the 45-degree angle pieces that I needed. And now we're just gonna install these with some CA glue. Of course, I'm gonna come back from the front side and install it with screws as well. And this is really, honestly, I'm gonna tell you guys, CA glue is probably, you've heard me say it 100 times, one of the more versatile tools in my shop. And of course, I do have a coupon code. You've heard me say that in many videos before, but if you haven't taken advantage, go ahead and go down in the description, starbond.com, save 15% with Glimpse15. And you can see here, I use it a lot, and it does help my workflow tremendously. So check it out. All right, so here we go. We're gonna just install this with 4 screws. That's all we're gonna need. And I think this is coming together pretty nicely. All right, one last cross cut for this piece. And actually, I like to sneak up on these, just barely taking off like a micro inch at a time. Is that even a unit of measurement? I think it is. Anyway, it worked. So we're gonna go ahead and tap it in place. I'm not gonna worry about putting any glue in this joint whatsoever, because I'm just gonna use screws here. But first, we're gonna go ahead and squeeze it in place with a squeeze clamp, and then drive home a few screws as well. This is the backer board that the cleat is gonna rest on, so we can attach it up on the tool wall. Now it's time to actually cut the cleat down to the width we need, or the length rather, and then we're gonna cut it to the width that we're looking for, because I don't necessarily need this big of a cleat up there. So I'm gonna use some of it to actually make the support piece that's gonna go on the bottom. Attaching it with some glue and brads, pretty much all you're gonna need. And like I said before, the bottom part, no glue whatsoever, just a few brads to hold it in place. So now it's time to test the fit, and would you look at this? It doesn't fit. Of course it doesn't. You know why? Because we're woodworkers, and this is what happens. And especially the ones that don't make plans for things like myself. So we're gonna just draw a quick little semicircle, cut it out here with the jigsaw fitting that we're using, the tool that we made the holder for in the previous clip. And I think with a good solid sanding, we should be in good shape. And yeah, there you go. Sometimes the solution is just that easy. All right, now it's time to load them up to the tool wall. Pretty simple process here. We're gonna lock this one in place. We don't want that thing falling off the wall any more than it already has. The jigsaw and the circular saw, and I'm gonna tell you guys something. I really appreciate you guys watching. I really appreciate you guys being here, but the fact of the matter is this is one of my favorite processes of being a maker, is finding a tool, finding anything for that matter, and then using it to come up with measurements and various different techniques to make your workflow just that much better. Really cool process, and I want to thank Baltic Birch for making this process easy for me, because it's a readily available material and It's pretty strong, pretty straightforward. Love it. Well, thank you so much for joining me for this project, guys. This is one of those projects that I've been meaning to do for a long time. I didn't like the old setup. It was always kind of cumbersome. However, yes, it did do the job. It did keep it up out of the way and it was organized, but it wasn't made properly. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this one. And also, I want you to recognize this as well. In the video where I made the poorly made circular saw holder, I made this too. And it's great. It gets them up out of the way. However, I've been snagged by a couple of bits here or there in the shoulders walking by. It's pretty dangerous. Quite frankly, I didn't see that coming, but yeah, I've got to change this too, so that's coming up in the future as well. Thank you again for joining me, guys. My name is Chris, and I appreciate each and every one of you being here. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. And also, if you're on Instagram, follow me there. And if you have a better idea or a different idea for your tool holders, tag me in the post. I'd love to see it. Take care, guys. Have a great day. Until then, get out there and make life better. Let's go.